So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how to transform your homeschool in a moment. One of the things that I've been privileged to do all these years is engage with home educators. I had 5 kids myself, home educated for 17 years, and have been a part of pretty much every kind of home education philosophy you could think of except strict workbook, textbook type of schooling. I read someone commenting on my Periscopes online somewhere saying that I was promoting what she might call eclectic schooling. I don't really want to give a label to what we do. What I am all about actually is the parent-child bond. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Home education, public education, private schooling, Montessori, Waldorf, all of these can work if the parent-child bond is secure. What I mean by that is that the context for education is actually equal to, or I would dare say, more important than what you are teaching. We know that the parent-child connection is what creates the openness to receive information, to receive what they need from the world around them. In fact, if any of you have been a part of communities who adopt children, you know that children who have been raised in cribs from birth with very little parental interaction, like the attachment, I forget what it's called, some of you will know, that attachment that is broken early in the life of a child makes it very difficult then for when they are older to receive and to grow and to be open and trusting. Thank you, attachment disorder. Exactly. And many people have that experience with adoption. Kalamazoo, Michigan, thank you. So what I wanted to talk about today is how do we strengthen that parent-child bond? When you are, thank you, now you're all helping me, reactive attachment disorder. Yeah, I have a friend who actually went through it with one of her adoptions from Romania, and it became such a problem. That child actually became a ward of the state. He would not stay home. He ran away from home so many times. I mean, absolutely heartbreaking. So even if you are the best nurturing mother around, for kids who didn't have that early foundational trust and attachment, sometimes it goes bad and you find yourself in this very painful relationship. But of course, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. I'm talking about the opposite of that. I want to talk about how do we enhance the bonds that we already have, the natural attachment, the natural love and affection we have for our children. So here's my tip for today, and it's just one sort of big tip, and it's this. Reframe it in the positive. Reframe it in the positive. What do I mean? We spend a lot of time talking at our children. You know, in my BraveWriter lifestyle pieces, I talk a lot about eye contact and one-on-one time and physically touching your children. In fact, I remember distinctly in one of my very, very first free writing workshops with a group of homeschooling parents back in '97, I think it was, I explained the process of free writing, which is just the activity of writing freely during a timed period with a timer with no restrictions on mechanics, grammar, or content, just hooking up the brain with the hand and allowing kids to freely express. I recommended that parents massage the shoulders of each child who is participating. And one mom shot her hand in the air and said, "I cannot believe you're saying that to me. This morning, my son asked me to rub his shoulders before writing, and I said to him, 'Don't make excuses. Get to work. You're not going to distract me from your task of getting this writing finished by having me massage your shoulders.'" And then we all cracked up, because what are the odds that that would happen the day that I gave this talk? What I wanted to remind parents, and what I want to take the moment to remind you, is you're home educators. This isn't school. This is home. This is the reason you're doing it. You want to be with your children. So yes, massage their shoulders. Yes, give them kisses on the cheek and on the tops of their heads. Yes, when you're walking by and you are delighted by something, say the words out loud. So here's the tip. When I say reframe it through the positive, It's when you are asking them something, and we tend to command our children. We don't make eye contact. We say, get the shoes. Who's got the coats? We're leaving the house in 5 minutes. Can someone throw Cheerios in a little plastic bag for the toddler? I need someone to help me carry the stroller down the stairs. We're like calling for help and commanding our children. And the connection is natural, it's real, but it isn't necessarily creating a positive experience. We want to notice our language. So instead of saying, don't forget to tie your shoes, we can say things like, remember to tie your shoes. Instead of saying, why didn't you finish the math page? We want to say something along the lines of, show me how much you've already done on the math page. In other words, you are looking for the way that creates openness between you and your child. Your homeschool isn't failing because the math pages don't work. I mean, for heaven's sakes, how many versions of math are there for first, second, third, fourth, and fifth grade? They all basically cover the same material. But what may be missing is some kind of connection that helps that child feel motivated and not critiqued and not treated like a cog in the homeschool machine. Now, I know you all have multiple children, and I know that you're thinking, I can't possibly be this positive with everybody all the time. I'll go crazy. So I'm really into baby steps and one thing at a time. So what if you just pick today an hour to discipline yourself to check what you're saying before you say it? Instead of, go downstairs and get your laundry done, you do it through an invitation. You say, who wants me to help them carry their laundry down the stairs so they can get started on a load? You see what I mean? We're trying to foster an atmosphere, not just in education. And of course, Charlotte Mason fans know that catchphrase. Education is an atmosphere. But have we really taken that all the way in and thought through how our behaviors are contributing to the atmosphere? We might think that the atmosphere is just bells and whistles, good tools, great programs. But I'm here to tell you the atmosphere is your connection to your children. And sometimes we are so busy telling them what to do and noticing what they didn't do, the atmosphere is dead. It may not even be toxic. It's just lifeless. It's flat. Nobody's happy. Everyone's a little bit, just squirgy and not wanting to work and feeling like this is a boring day. And yet, rubbing shoulders, eye contact, offering to help, reframing through the positive. So what are some ways? I want you to just brainstorm briefly, and maybe some of you can pop those in the comments with your name. What are some ways that you have successfully reframed, put those words back in the silo, reconfigured them, and then delivered them, right? What are some ways you've done that? I know for me, one thing I did with Noah early on is he could not handle multiple instructions in a row. He couldn't go upstairs and make his bed, put on his clothes, brush his teeth, and come back downstairs. 4 steps, that was too much for him. I would go up, an hour later and find him on the floor making a Lego thing in his underwear, right? And so I discovered that it didn't work to yell at him or to shame him or to say, come on, it's only 4 things. How hard can this be? None of that worked. What worked was saying, hey, Noah, I'm going to tell you one thing to do at a time. And when you get that done, he had to go upstairs to do it. So I'd say, when you get that thing done, come to the top of the stairs and yell, hey, Mom, I did it. And then I will see you and I will notice what you did. And then I'll tell you the next thing. And that worked. Because now he wasn't being blamed. I wasn't angry. He didn't have more than he could manage. And he had this fun accountability of running to the top of the stairs and saying, hey, look, I've got on my clothes. And then I say, great, now go make your bed. So he makes his bed, he comes back, I made the bed. I'm like, great, now go into the bathroom and brush those teeth. And we just did it one thing at a time with a little tiny bit of celebration. How old was he? He was under 10. He was somewhere between, 6 and 9 when we were acting this way, practicing these tasks. So how can you? Can anyone think of ways that they can reframe what they typically, don't hit your sister could become, hey, hands are for hugging. Give your sister a hug. Something positive. Yes, someone said, Angela says our kids are just doing the best they can, and we want to help and encourage them to know what else they can do and how to be successful. What other ways? Any other ways you can think of? It might take some reflecting, and don't beat yourself up. As I say, using negative language, remember to be gentle with yourself. Hey, there's a great contrast, right? Don't beat yourself up, or remember to be gentle with yourself. Nancy Graham, who works for us, I remember her saying when she was reading, she does editing for us, and she was reading through some of my posts, and she said, how about using the word remember instead of don't forget? So there's another way to reframe through the positive. Remember to brush your teeth as opposed to don't forget to brush your teeth. Even that slight shift in language can create willingness, openness. And really, isn't that what our homeschools need? Is it too late to start the small tasks with my 13-year-old? Honestly, it isn't. Particularly if you see it as a support system and you build slowly over time. Someone says, instead of turn off the video, maybe show me what you've been watching before we turn it off. Oh my gosh, I hope everyone screenshotted that. You should just put that back in the comments and we should just replay it 4 or 5 times. That is so beautiful. Not get off the computer, but hey, before you get off the computer, I'd like to see what you were doing. Who were you talking to? What were you building in Minecraft? That's fabulous. Perfect example. I love it. What about the times this doesn't work? We're not looking for it to work. I'm so glad you asked that. I love that. None of this works if the goal is to get something to happen. It only works if you are genuinely, let's see how quietly you can shut the door instead of don't slam the door. Love that. Your kids are not robots. And we are not trying to input something to make them do something we want them to do. What we're trying to do is recreate the space so that they have the opportunity to get in touch with their own feelings about whatever it is and make choices. And those choices need to be real. I remember years ago someone making the suggestion that I ask for help with chores rather than requiring them. And I said, but then what if they say no? They said, then that means they're exercising their choice. And it was sort of revolutionary for me at the moment. I thought, I see that now. Like if they have a choice, then maybe another time they'll say yes. But if there is never, yes, maybe let's see what outfit you choose instead of get dressed. These are starting to feel good. What if it's a situation with no choice? Okay, Danny, give me the situation. I want to know it so we can talk about it. Like, is it like getting in the car and they don't want to go? I know that one's hard. I remember struggling with that one. So one of the benefits that you can do, yes, here's a good answer. Angela says, I know you're in the middle of something important to you. I will help you pick it up in a minute. There's another way to get ready to leave the house, and that is warning. We're leaving in 10 minutes. Then 10 minutes goes by, 5 minutes goes by. We are now leaving in 5 minutes. Does anyone need me to help them get ready for when we're leaving the house? And if you hear nothing and 5 minutes go by, say, okay, it is now time to leave the house. I'm going to come and help everyone move towards the door, and we're all going to leave together. Now, if you have a child, and you will, that pitches a fit, that's the time now for the one-on-one eye contact, and you will say, hey, what's going on? Usually you're fine leaving the house when we say it's time to go. Am I interrupting something? Is there a reason you don't want to go to Target? Help me understand what's preventing this exit and find out. Because sometimes kids just need to be heard. just like you do. Let's see. She refused to go to the last class she agreed to attend because it is boring. Boring is a reason I don't go to some things. I've opted out because of boring. So one of the things you want to figure out is, what is the commitment? How important is it? And then how do we support someone who is experiencing a negative feeling? So let's say she is telling you, I don't want to go. It's really boring. The answer to that isn't, but you committed and you have to go. That might work with an adult. That doesn't work very well with a child. So one of the things you can do at that point is say, I know, and it must feel frustrating that you've made this commitment and I've told you you've had to finish and now you really don't want to finish. I wonder what we can do that makes it less boring for this last class. Is there a way I can support you in this finishing of the commitment and have a conversation? One of the things that I think parents mistake is they think variability in a child's behavior and feelings is an indication of a long-term commitment problem or a long-term unwillingness problem. So we're sort of like tunnel vision. They've got to do the thing they said they would, or they may not turn out to be responsible adults. But if you survey the landscape of your own life from childhood all the way into adulthood, you are going to notice some variability. You will quit some things that you committed to. You will be childish and immature even as an adult. You will decide that the commitment isn't worth the price you're paying. One of the things we're hoping our children learn is to know themselves, to be self-aware, and to have all their choices. So maybe with a child who doesn't want to finish a commitment, we talk about what are the risks and benefits of not finishing. 1, your coach might be disappointed. He's used to you scoring a lot of goals. 2, your teammates are depending on you to keep your commitment. What will it mean for your friendships and relationships on that team if you leave? 3, how important is this sport or this season in your life? 4, what's replacing this? What's more interesting? What will you do instead? 5, do you find yourself bored in general? Or is it just this one thing? Is boredom really the issue? Some children say they're bored as a cover-up for their real problem, which is anger at a coach or embarrassment that somebody mistreated them. And they're hoping to hide behind a safe emotion when they have one that is actually the true one underneath. The only way to get to those, and you may not ever get to them, not all children share feelings or no feelings, but the only way to get any sense of what else may have happened is if you're a safe space, a place they feel comfortable telling their truths to. And that comes through reframing in the positive, staying open to what they're sharing with you, and not seeing, as someone else said, everything they do as a reflection of their deep character. Sometimes they're just being kids. Okay, so I don't like making these too long, but it looks like this has been a positive topic today. And yes, you can also have these conversations retroactively. Absolutely. How do we help those who don't want to share their feelings? Oh my goodness, thanks for asking that, Angela. I had a conversation with a therapist last year about that because I have some kids who share feelings and then I have some who do not share feelings. I do use catch.me. It's catch.me/BraveWriter. So please watch replays there. And you can watch the replay of this and I show you my catch page at the beginning of this podcast, or this Periscope. So for kids who don't openly, easily share their feelings, one of the things you can do is do what we call parallel play. You just need to be with them. So you can observe what's going on. So for example, Liam had a hard time on his lacrosse team the second year, or maybe it was the third year he played, the year he stopped playing actually. And as it turned out, the violence of the game was getting to him. He had been hit in the head on his helmet several times, and it was awful. He didn't like the feeling, mild concussing. Who likes that? And so he started showing a lot of reluctance to go to practice. But I didn't realize that this is what was going on with him. until I started going to practice. And then I talked to his coach, and I started observing him. And what I discovered was he had lost his heart for the game when it became too violent for his temperament. But he couldn't express that at age 11 or 12, right? It took paying attention, talking to other people in the context, and getting to know what was going on with him. So you have to be a bit of a detective with kids who aren't as self-aware, but you can also name their feelings for them sometimes. If a child says, "Oh, I really want to quit saxophone," which is what my son Jacob said when he was in 8th grade. And I said, "Oh, well, what is it? What's going on about saxophone?" "Oh, I'm bored." I said, and so then I have to be a detective. What do you miss about it? Do you wish you could perform? Is it too, individualistic because he was only taking lessons? He wasn't in a band. Shall we get you in a group of kids? Would that help? "Oh, yes, that would definitely help," he said. I said, "All right then, hold on for one more year because marching band in high school is coming and you're gonna love it. Just trust me." Well, we had a really good relationship and he trusted me, and marching band was his favorite thing of his whole life. So that's what you want to encourage. Your homeschool will thrive, I promise you. The education will fall into place if the relationship is right. If you are creating that atmosphere, that context that feels safe, encouraging, and positive. We all want that. We want that in our marriages. We want that in our friendships. We want that from our own parents. Even as adults, we still want it. We complain about our mothers or our fathers. Think about those complaints that you have about your parents and do not do that to your kids. That's a really easy way to start. Okay? Take it an hour today and just before you speak, think, it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna be confusing. You don't have the words available yet, so you're gonna make mistakes, but just practice a little bit each day. Someone asked, is it okay to discuss if this is happening with our kids? If your kids are being negative? Yes, if they're mature enough. But awesome modeling will overturn so much of what they're doing currently. In fact, if your kids are really negative, it may be that they're just copying you. I'm sorry to say. But if you're kind of a shouty mom or a commandy mom or a telling them what to do mom, then they're going to do that with each other. And you'll see it right down the pecking order. The oldest child will, tell the next one down what to do, and the next one will tell the next one, and then pretty soon someone's pulling the tail of the cat. I mean, this is what happens. And if you've got that sort of hierarchy going in your marriage on down, you're going to see it show up in your kids. So help yourself to reform the context. You're going to be going against the cycle to change your vocabulary. And it's not going to be comfortable and it's not going to work right away, but baby steps, an hour a day. Give yourself an hour a day where you're being mindful of your speech and being positive and reframing of your commandy, shouty, demanding negativity, if that's you. And most of you are a mixture. None of you are just negative. You're a mixture. And some of it's time, impatience, adult needs versus childhood, slow as molasses pace, right? That's all part of raising children. Okay, so let's breathe in. Ready, everybody? Get ready to reframe. Breathe in. Breathe out. Sending you love. Live honestly and optimistically, and write bravely and relate beautifully. Somebody mentioned they didn't like the whine of their preschooler. I almost feel like I need to comment on that before I hang up. Nobody likes whiny preschoolers, but you love your whiny preschooler, and that wins. That wins. Get down to eye level, put your hand on the whiny child, and give a big smile. The whining will go away. Okay? Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing what do I call it? Partnership home education, finding friends for you. Okay? See you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.